So Anglo-Saxon ruler King Canute famously sat on the beach and ordered the tide not to come in. A fitting image of a man facing the inevitable. In this election of 2024, the contrast with the Viking warrior Canute is striking. Unlike King Canute, Rishi Sunak didn't spend much time on the beaches of Normandy. Maybe he was right and he didn't want to politicise his job as a politician, or maybe he simply didn't want to get sand in his sandwiches. Who knows, but he made an absolute horlicks of it. So let's hope that Manifesto Day, or M-Day, goes better than those D-Day celebrations. Let's have a quick look around the Tory party manifesto and see what tax nuggets are lurking. So income tax, we're told that since 2010, they've nearly doubled the personal allowance from just under 6.5 grand to 12,750. Hurrah, what good eggs they are. But wait a minute, we're looking at 12,750 now, but it was 12,500 way back in April 2019. So it's been stuck there an awful long time. And this is one example of many anchors that exist and form that great revenue-raising lever called fiscal drag, sometimes called stealth taxes, which enables governments to raise significant taxes, not by putting up taxes, but by keeping thresholds and allowances frozen. So let's look at employment taxes. If elected, the Conservatives say that they would cut taxes for workers by reducing national insurance to 6% by April 2027. They also plan to abolish the main rate of self-employed national insurance contributions, and that would be done entirely by the end of the next Parliament. So pensioners, pretty important for the Conservatives. They're presented with a new word salad, which is the triple lock plus. We already had the triple lock, they've now added a plus on. I guess the next step is to put a cherry on top as well. And this broadly relates to essentially the state pension and the tax-free allowance for pensioners. Further, from April next year, a new age-related personal allowance will be introduced to pensioners. Of course, great news there from an income tax point of view, but as you will remember, a common strategy for pensioners was that they, if they had investment portfolios, they would sell investments within the annual exemption for capital gains tax, allowing them to draw down on their investments free of tax. That has been almost completely stymied over recent years by the Conservatives taking a chainsaw to the annual exemption, such that it's only 3,000 per annum these days. So family taxes, again, you would expect the family to be a key area for the Conservatives. There's some key legislation in there to legislate against the unfairness of the high income child benefit charge. I agree it's unfair, but the Conservatives did introduce it. That will move to a household system. So rather than looking at the income of one partner in a couple, the charge applied if one partner earned over 60,000. It now looks at a family unit and whether the family unit, so both partners potentially, whether combined they earn more than 120,000. That will be a big boon for families. It will also be a relief for the courts, who have been having to opine on HMRC's attempts, pretty strong-arm tactics to enforce what is an absolute, or was an absolute ban-popped piece of legislation. Capital gains tax. So pointedly, no plans to raise capital gains tax. There's a new odd one in there for landlords, where a landlord selling a property to a tenant will be exempt for CGT. We're told that's a 2-year exemption. This comes hot on the tail of the Tories bringing the top rate of capital gains tax, which was 28%, down to 24% in relation to residential property. It seems to me that Jeremy Hunt's probably trying to offload a few properties, bearing in mind the way policy is going. So another notable development in the area of property tax is what appears to be the introduction of a permanent version of first-time buyers relief for stamp duty land tax purposes, SDLT. Broadly, if you're buying a property £425,000 or below, then the stamp duty is zero. If any considerations between 425 and potentially, if it replicates the previous incarnation of first-time buyers relief, anything between 425 and 625, you would pay 5%. If the price of the property exceeds a cap like 625,000, then no relief would be available. Of course, the relief could look completely different to the old version, first-time buyers relief, but the draftsman does like to copy what has gone before. So moving on to corporate tax, pretty quick this one. All it says in the manifesto is that there'll be no rise in corporation tax rates. So VAT, again, similarly brief, no increases in the rate of VAT, and again, pointedly looking at the Labour camp, no VAT on private school fees. They also say that they're going to take a good long look at the 90,000 threshold where one has to register for VAT if you're a business owner, and see whether there's anything they can do to sort of smooth out that cliff edge. It is thought to be prohibitive and putting a ceiling on the ambitions of business owners. So tax avoidance. Well, we're told that the Conservatives hope to help HMRC raise an additional £6 billion a year from tackling tax avoidance and evasion. I think that's key, that it will extend beyond avoidance, because there's probably not a great deal of scope left anymore for targeting avoidance. It's more the black economy, I think, that they need to focus their efforts on. We're not told quite how that can be justified. I don't know. For all the parties, it does appear that tax avoidance is, and the money that they will raise from tax avoidance is the magic money tree that can fund pretty much anything. So there we are. Not much to get excited about. It is tax. It is the election. It is a manifesto. Perhaps we were expecting a bit too much. Who knows? The government is clearly going to let, if it gets in again, is going to let stealth taxes and fiscal drag continue to do the hard work in raising revenues. It's going to use the cracking down on tax avoidance perhaps to do the imaginary work, because really I don't think there's a great deal to be gained there. I think the moral of this story is really that the tide has finally washed in for this government, and I think many of these proposals are ultimately academic, but who knows? Stay tuned for some more updates and a little bit of exploration of some of the other manifestos, hopefully a little bit more fun than this one.